It's not the years in your life that count, but the life in your years. A quote by Abraham Lincoln hangs in my wall in my living room. We're out here in Redlands at the Lincoln Memorial Shrine. Don, first of all, how long has this place been here?
Well, welcome, Joel. The Lincoln Memorial Shrine has been in Redlands since 1932.
1932. You know, it's interesting. When we decided to come out here, I was telling people, hey, we're going to be at the Lincoln Memorial Shrine at Redlands. Half people said, oh yeah, I've been there. The other half said, what?
Yeah, we're kind of an unknown treasure is what we like to think of the Inland Empire. It's a great place for people to come if they're interested in Abraham Lincoln or the American Civil War.
So let's start us off. Where are you located here in Redlands?
We're at 125 West Vine Street in Redlands. It's immediately behind A.K. Smiley Public Library, off the I-10 freeway, probably the Orange Street off-ramp is the best way to go.
So Don, tell me, how did this come about here in Redlands?
Well, the story of the Lincoln Memorial Shrine really revolves around the life story of Robert Watchorn and his family. It's a really interesting story. Out of the tragedy of war, a wonderful gift was given to our community of Redlands. The Watchorn family came out here to Redlands and lost their only child as a result of the First World War. His name was Emery Ewart Watchorn. And when he passed away, the father, Robert, decided that the appropriate way to honor young Emery Ewart's death would be to build a Lincoln Memorial in their winter home of Redlands to honor that lost son.
So, is it safe to say that the things I'm looking at here were from his original collection?
It's a mixture, Joel.
Okay.
A combination of his original material and things that have been donated in subsequent years, and things that we've been able to acquire with that endowment of which I spoke.
The bust, where did this come from?
Well, this ironically, Joel, was Mr. Watchorn's prized possession. It's an original Carrara marble bust of Lincoln, done by the American sculptor George Ray Barnard. It's one of two identical copies. The second was in the Palais Luxembourg in Paris, France, but the French version disappeared during World War II's Nazi occupation and hasn't been seen since. So we have the only known version of this particular statue left in the world today.
Wow. Here in Redlands in the Inland Empire. Wow, okay.
Everything in this western wing here is related to the events of 1863, Gettysburg, Vicksburg, the issuance of the Emancipation Proclamation. And it features a variety of artifacts from not only Lincoln, but also the soldiers, civilians of that time, what the war was all about, what women on the home front were doing, this quilt that you're looking at over there. So a variety of things about that time.
I'm looking over your shoulder here. In terms of the books that are encased right there, are those, you ever able to open them?
You brought up a great point, Joel. We're not just a museum, we're also a research library and reference facility for anyone who's interested in Lincoln, slavery, Reconstruction, the American Civil War. So all the books are available for use. They do not circulate. We're not a lending library.
Sure.
But if scholars or even students, we've had students as young as 2nd and 3rd grade come in here to do research projects, and all our material is available for use.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Huh? You come in here and kind of a unique place. By the way, is there any other Lincoln Memorial Shrine or shrine out there besides in Washington?
Well, we like to feel that we're the only institution in the western part of the United States, west of the Mississippi, dedicated to Abraham Lincoln.
So what are we looking at here, Don?
This is probably the most significant Lincoln manuscript that we have in our collection here at the Lincoln Shrine. We have about 37 individual Lincoln items signed by him and in his hand. And what makes a manuscript important, and it's not necessarily Lincoln's signature, as interesting as that might be for calligraphers, but what is important for us is the content within a manuscript. So this Lincoln cover note on the bottom here, he attached to this 8-page version of the Conkling letter. And as I mentioned, it's probably in the top 5 or 6 of the things that Lincoln ever wrote, because it very passionately gives his reasons for the Emancipation Proclamation. So it's the content of manuscripts, and we're big on manuscripts here. Watchorn, Robert Watchorn, our founder, was particularly very big on manuscripts. Not so much because here's a written souvenir of that time period, it's the content within. How can we better understand, and I know from your historical living history that you do, how can we better understand the motivations of people 150, 200 years ago by looking at what they told us, what they wrote to their contemporaries? I
always tell students when I'm in front of them, we are where we are because of where we've been. And right here is a perfect roadmap of where we've been and why we got to where we are.
That's a great way to put it, the roadmap.
Oh my goodness. So we have these open, just so you know, for our cameras and reflective purposes.
Just for you, Joel.
I appreciate that.
Sorry, no patrons off the street, but you do that.
I appreciate that. You were telling me that this is the area that's pretty popular with students who come in here?
Exactly. We're not just about manuscripts here or artwork, but we find that for young people in particular, they love the artifacts. They can relate to some of them, and particularly the weaponry of the American Civil War, which you see to my right here. These are a variety of arms, from a smoothbore musket to a rifled musket to a breech-loading carbine to a repeating rifle up in the top there. That's a Sharps repeater up there.
Oh my goodness. Well, these cannonballs down here too, right? Or these
Exactly right. You've got it right. Well, on the right we've got a couple solid shot pieces over here.
16 pounds.
16 pound.
Wow.
That refers to the weight of the shot. Piece of shrapnel in a piece of wood over here. Other kinds of cannonballs would of course blow up in midair and send metal fragments through the air, and this one landed in a tree. So yeah, artillery weaponry caused a lot of the casualties in the American Civil War.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this: how did you come into all of this?
A couple of these items here were donated to us. A couple are from Mr. Watchorn, our founder's personal collection, and others were acquired in recent years due to donation.
When people come in here, I mean, are you changing out the exhibits to match a certain period or discussion or time period from year to year?
Well, the so-called sesquicentennial of the American Civil War started in 2011, so we'll be following that all the way through 2015. We'll probably have the exhibit up into 2016. 2015, of course, will be the end of the war and the 150th anniversary of the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, which is obviously kind of the end of the story as far as Lincoln is concerned. So that'll be our focus for the next couple of years or so, completing the story of the American Civil War.
Well, I am embarrassed to say that I did not know it was here. It's been here all my life, plus many, many years.
And you're a history guy too.
And I'm a history guy too.
That's only an indictment of the person who's been working here, and that would be me for the entirety almost of your life.
Oh my goodness.
Well, that's part of the reason shows like yours are so vital to our operation here, is that we need to get the word out to both patrons, and a surprising amount of our material that's on display has been directly donated by very generous individuals, and if they don't know about us, they can't visit and they can't donate, so we're glad you're here.
Hours of operation.
We're open every day at Monday, Tuesday through Sunday, 1 to 5 in the afternoon. We reserve the mornings for school groups or homeschoolers or any sort of group that wants to come in. 8 or more people, we'll open up in the morning for them. But the afternoons are our standard hours, always free. And again, wanted to emphasize that it's not just a museum, but also a research facility and library for all who are interested in that time period.
Well said, Don. Thank you so much for having us out here.
Thank you for
Appreciate
coming.
it.
Anytime.
Wow. Lincoln Memorial Shrine in Redlands. Wow.